It is 5:30, so I will call the Putnam County Area Plan Commission November 10th, 2025 meeting to order. We'll do a roll call for determination of quorum.
Kate Skirvin.
Here.
Ooh, that's loud. Andy Beck.
Here.
Greg Williams.
Here.
Zach Bowers.
Here.
Also present is Lisa Ziner. Not present is Kevin Scobie and Jana Neese. Jim Inslee will not be here today. Did I miss James? I'm sorry, James. Yeah, James McKee, are you here today?
I guess.
I already marked you off, sorry. Apologize. So we do have a quorum. We can continue.
Okay, next item is the review of minutes for August 11th, 2025 and September 11th, 2025. Any additions, changes, corrections?
I do have the notes from corrections that you two gave me earlier, but is there any other corrections that were found?
Do we need to make this a motion for those corrections since they're non-material?
Yes.
Yeah, you just need to include, you either need to restate the corrections, or your motion needs to say with corrections submitted.
She made the motion already.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I can amend it. I move to approve the minutes with the changes that have been submitted.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And that was for both, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
Nothing under old business?
No.
So new business is 2025-RZ-069, Don Barnett, rezoned from general commercial C2 to residential R1, Greencastle Township, 1250 North Jackson Street, Greencastle. I will open the public hearing for that.
Actually, you need him to speak first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll have you speak.
You'll need to come up front
Yep.
and speaking to the microphone.
What am I speaking on?
You're speaking on your rezoning, what you're wanting to do
Okay.
and why.
All right. What we're wanting to do,
For the record.
my name is Donald Barnett. What I want to do is take the back half of the property, rezone it to residential, and put a home there to live in. Any questions on that?
Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Is that better?
So
He's splitting off this and keeping this vacant ground back here for a house.
Yeah.
He has to rezone it because it's zone commercial.
And you own all the ground, right?
Yes, I do.
Where are you looking at putting the house? Just approximately?
Right around here.
And that driveway, would it be split and shared, or? are you
Yes, it
making
would
your
be
own-
shared. I would have to give myself an easement,
Okay.
so I don't have a problem with that. I guess I'm okay with it. But now septic is actually already installed. We kind of got out of order.
Lisa, can you turn on the flood layer, make sure to show everybody where the flood
So-
zone is? Seems very little, very.
Yeah.
Just long, yeah.
Just the snake running through.
It looks like it's ag on the west of you.
Yeah, it's ag on the backside.
Do you have anything else, sir, that you wanna?
No, no.
You're just supposed to build this house? Yep.
Yeah, I just need a place to live. So-
Was there any letters and complaint on it or anything?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
No, no one's called the office. I had a couple people come in, just to look at the file. Once they found out it was just a rezoning and wasn't a gun range, they didn't have any issues.
At this point, open the public hearing. So at this point, I'll open the public hearing. Anybody that wishes to speak for or against the rezone? Perfect. So I'll close the public hearing. Anybody on the board have any other comments, questions, concerns?
I'll make a motion to accept the rezone from commercial to, commercial C2 to residential R1 for the case of 2025-RZ-069.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
This case will go to the county commissioners at their November 17th meeting, 9 o'clock.
Next item is the Unified Development Ordinance Amendment. Proposed amendments to the Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 2.5, Natural Resources District, Chapter 3, Use Matrix Solar Energy Conservation Systems, Wind Energy Conservation Systems.
I'm gonna turn that over to Andy.
In our commissioner meeting last, I made the motion for a moratorium against data centers, wind and solar to rewrite our UDO. Anyway, there's some things that need to be changed that is lack, I think, that needs to be rewritten to help it out. And that's why I'm doing it. I mean, and to, I guess the public knows how I stand on all three of them, so I don't need to elaborate on anything on that at all, so, anyway. And I think after, if it goes through, I think then we need to come up with a committee of people to, go through this again and, to help rewrite it.
I definitely think the ordinance could be upgraded. How did the commissioners vote on it when you brought it up?
2-1.
In favor?
2 for, 1 against.
In favor of the moratorium,
Yes.
right? Okay.
My concern is we had a year and a half of meetings to come up with the UDO. We spent hundreds of man hours working on this. And now that we have one that we disagreed with, now we want to go back in and rewrite the UDO. Are we going to do this every time something comes up that we're, that some of the people are against it? We just can't go back and, piecemeal this every time something happens.
Well, I think, and I agree with you, but I don't agree with some of it. I think some of the setbacks need to be stricter, and especially around homes. I don't think the setbacks are far enough on that.
On
And-
existing homes?
Yes, on existing homes, and also on the way it's written. There is nothing in there that restricts it being close to wells or anything like that, and that needs to be addressed.
The only thing we have to be careful with is there's a state law
Right.
that we need to make sure we aren't stricter than what the state law
Right,
says.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it won't be. I know.
Just telling everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
But the UDO is also written with the understanding that we would hit speed bumps along the way and make adjustments to it as we went.
Yeah.
So that
My
we've had,
fear is if we change setbacks for homes, existing or non-existing, BZA is gonna be overloaded. I mean, because we're gonna have case after case after case, trying to reduce the setback.
It wouldn't be setbacks for the homes. This is he's just talking about solar and wind section only,
Oh.
not the
Yeah.
entire
That's
UDO.
not how it was worded, okay.
Yeah,
Just-
yeah.
Just those sections.
Okay.
It would only be for data center, solar, and wind.
Yeah,
And-
we're not doing the whole UDO.
Okay, well, so your moratorium is just to address setbacks,
Well, and other things. Yep,
kind of a broad picture then on,
yeah.
Also, the UDO specifically states that if there's something that's not discussed anywhere in the UDO, so data centers, example, it is not mentioned at all in the UDO. The UDO states that if it's not mentioned, it's prohibited. So data centers aren't allowed because they're not mentioned in the UDO. So,
and how about this closed cell nuclear that's coming to Indiana real soon?
that's not addressed either.
Yeah, right. We can't address every issue that might come up because we just don't know what they all are. But like you said, if it's not mentioned, it's prohibited.
But I also think that because solar, wind, nuclear, and data centers have become a very talked about issue, specifically within the past year, and because the commissioners have turned down two plans for solar.
Well, BZA
That-
turned down one.
Okay, well, BZA turned down one, commissioners turned down another one, that, maybe it's because things are so broadly written that maybe we need to put some more specifics in there. Because these, solar panels, I can tell you, those things have changed a great deal just in the past 10 years. And I think some of them have changed definitely for the better. There are a lot of positive things that have happened with them. So I think then it starts to change our viewpoint from what it was before.
It almost sounds like if they've improved, you want to change it for the better, but are you trying to make the setbacks more restrictive? Or are you saying, we don't want any of this in Putnam County?
No, I don't think that's it at all.
Okay.
Because I think that solar definitely has its place, wind has its place, data centers have their place. But I think that we need to look overall at all of our natural resources and see exactly what they are, and do so in a way that's gonna protect our citizens, because they've been very vocal about what they want.
Well, this is to Andy, the committee you're wanting, come up with, because when we were working on the UDO, it was countywide. We had input from everybody that wanted to put it.
Well, it'll be an open hearing.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it's gotta be an open hearing.
Are we gonna have workshops again, Lisa?
We would need to, yes. It's not just something we can piecemeal and do in one thing. We would have to have workshops. We also need to talk about, the UDO was adopted by Cloverdale, Roachdale, Bainbridge, Russellville. Okay, basically everybody besides Greencastle and Fillmore, that way I don't leave anybody out. So we need to make sure that whatever we do, we also have buy-in from them. Because if we're putting a moratorium on the applications for a year, that's gonna affect them as well, and they can't do anything in their individual towns either.
And the two, it may not last a whole year. It just depends on how quick we get to working on this and get it taken care of, and then it'll be lifted as soon as it's all taken care of.
So you want to put that moratorium until we come up with our revisions to the
Right.
UDO?
Yeah, that would last no longer than a year.
Yeah.
And anything that's filed before the next commissioner meeting is acceptable.
Is what?
Is acceptable.
Oh, right. Oh, it is. Why would it be?
Huh?
If it's already filed?
No, I said it would be acceptable.
Oh,
I mean, not against the moratorium has nothing to do with it,
Okay. Yeah.
but it's gotta pass the commissioners again.
Oh, I agree, yeah. I misunderstood you.
And maybe when we're talking about this too, when we redo it, we can include SRMs and everything in it, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah, there's already some things that, I kind of thought we needed to address anyway.
right.
don't just worry about that, we kind of
That was gonna be
investigate
my
the
question.
entire UDO.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, like on land houses, on building houses on land and stuff like that too.
What do you mean by that? I mean,
Well,
that's where
I
the-
think-
That's where the houses have to go.
I know, I'm not saying not to allow them, but I'm saying, like, we've run into instances where we've turned stuff down and they're still allowed to use 10 acres. I think there were some of the restrictions on that area of 2 acre or 3 acre lots. Right now it says that you can't have livestock on those. You know, why?
If it's zoned residential.
Just R1.
Right,
Yeah.
but still, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
Depends on where ground falls.
What's that?
It depends on where all the ground falls.
Well, this is just my opinion, you know, I think there were zoning issues when it was done, but we couldn't go through and address zoning issues because the county doesn't have the authority just to go out and piecemeal and rechange the zoning. Because if we change one thing from R, or A1 to A2, and the resident didn't want it, I mean, that wouldn't be very ethical.
Well, my place got changed and I never said it was okay.
It was changed from one zoning to another.
Yeah, from A1 to R1. At the north end, right along the highway.
No.
Shouldn't have been.
I don't think so.
It showed it on the map at the fairgrounds that night. When you had the open public meeting down there, it was right along the highway.
The only thing they had to do on zoning is if
We didn't change any zoning. Whatever it was zoned prior is what it was zoned.
well, zoning was like if along 231 and 36, it was zoned A2 because it's 1,000-foot distance. We couldn't piecemeal that. It had to be per parcel. Maybe something got rezoned because it was an entire parcel. But we didn't go back and change an A1 to an R1 or anything like that. I don't think we did. I mean, that wasn't the intention.
And, oh my gosh, I forgot what I was gonna say about this. Shoot, I'll think of it in a second. Oh, that's the other thing. We're speaking of that. I think too, it needs to be rewritten in there that solar, wind and stuff like that is not natural resource, it's industrial.
It falls under the industrial umbrella.
Right, but I'm saying, I think it needs to be classified as what it is. Because I'm not accusing nobody of nothing, but you just say if it passed and it says it's, natural resources, and if you grant them permission to go from A1 or whatever to natural resources, they could mine rock out of the ground before they even put anything else up.
Yeah, so you would still consider a mining operation natural resource?
Right,
Yeah.
but I'm saying this other stuff is not, they're not mining nothing, they're just building,
Yeah.
so,
So you're saying take them out of natural resources and put them in
yeah,
just in industrial?
industrial. But, anyway, I guess the next step is, if everybody's done talking about it, I'll make the motion for us to.
This is a public hearing, so we need to
Oh,
allow
okay.
public to
All
speak
right,
before we
let
make
the public
motions.
speak.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Anybody that wants to speak, make sure that you've signed in, you have to come up here, and use the, microphone, so, you wanna list off who's,
I mean, I can read out off the list, or if they just want to come up and
Yeah,
speak, that's
you just-
however you guys want to do it.
yeah.
Emily Knuth is the first one on the list, if you want.
An address? Emily Knuth. I live at 150 East County Road 300 South, Greencastle. I also work for Energy Re, so good to see you again. Sorry, I said that there. Thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight on this. I want to begin by acknowledging that these are not easy issues. Energy development, land use, and community values all intersect here, and I respect thoughtful consideration this board gives to each of those. But true leadership requires not just responding to uncertainty, but helping to shape the future of Putnam County. That's why I'm here tonight to urge you to not adopt the one-year moratorium on energy projects. A moratorium simply isn't necessary. There are no projects in the queue or applications submitted except for ours. The best use of our time is not to pause progress, but to work together, to use this moment productively to negotiate and refine solar projects that work for Putnam County. Importantly, the county has already done the hard work in the planning. We just completed the award-winning Unified Development Ordinance, a process that included extensive public input, professional expertise, and months of careful deliberation. The UDO was designed to provide exactly the kind of framework and local controls that communities need to guide responsible development, including renewable energy. Putting a moratorium in place now effectively undermines that effort and sends the message that the work of your citizens and your planning department doesn't count, and it was a waste of tax dollars. Beyond the local impact, there's a broader issue at stake. Across Indiana, the state is watching counties closely. Counties that enact moratoriums are being seen as closed for business. They're signaling that they're not ready to participate in the modern economic development and in the state's growing energy demands. That perception has real consequences for investment, for tax revenue, and for how our community is viewed in the state. Even more concerning, these local pauses strengthen the argument in Indianapolis that energy siting decisions should be taken over by the state, removing local control. If that happens, decisions should be made here, by you, by the people who live and work in Putnam County, instead of by state officials who've never stepped foot here. The Plan Commission, I understand the weight of these decisions. They're complex, and they matter deeply to the future of this county. But I also believe that leadership is about balance, listening to concerns, engaging with partners, and crafting solutions that serve both the present and the future. We stand ready to partner, to collaborate with the county, to listen, and to design a solar project that fits Putnam County's goals and values. Let's use this time to work together, not to stand still. Thank you.
Paul Cummins.
I will, but did you want to speak?
She signed in. I was just going down the list.
I'm just trying to do ladies first.
My name is, pardon? Okay. My name is Joan Billman. I live in Greencastle, lived here for 45 years. And I don't understand why we're having this meeting, because we voted down the Russellville solar project. The fairground was just loaded with people, and I thought it was voted down the Cloverdale project. Now you're talking about, I don't know what you're saying about changing it from natural resources. I thought it was still agriculture. I didn't get in the meeting that it was changed.
No, it wasn't. It was denied.
It was denied, yes.
But we want to rewrite some things in the UDO for setbacks, and
We want to look at the zoning requirements and maybe retouch those, update those, be more in line with what was been brought up at the Russellville and Cloverdale.
But why are you doing that when it's been voted down?
Because they can still put in another, that petition was voted down, but they can put in another petition.
I
And-
understand,
and they
I
can keep
understand it,
doing
but
that,
you're like
so-
kind of, so you're going ahead and getting everything ready nicely, packaged, so that when they come in again, everything's in place. Is that what you're doing? You're getting the more ground around the houses, and maybe changing from 2,000 acres to 1,500 acres. That's going to make a difference. The people do not want solar. I thought the president said, we don't want solar. We don't want wind. They're not worth it to take over good farmland. We're not going to have any food. We're not going to have farmers. There are just hardly any farmers anymore. What are we going to do then? We can't take those windmills down or the solar panels down and throw in a few seeds and grow crops again. So I don't understand why we are bringing this up again. I think it's, the people spoke, and I think it should just stay there. Thank you.
Okay, Paul.
Paul Cummings, I work for Energy Re, if you guys don't know me. As Emily stated, we've submitted a revised application today. We're the only active queue position in the county. Therefore, we don't see a reason for a moratorium, as we're the only application under review and not likely to see any others, just given the technical aspects of the grid. Not soon, anyway. We believe the new application is in line with what Commissioner Helmer outlined in the Banner Graphic article. We've cut the project in half, so we're now asking for 1,050 acres. No homes are surrounded, as it were, so you can't look out each cardinal direction and see it from a home within our application. We've doubled the setbacks for all homes to 500 feet, but we can dive into the details of that more in December 8th when we come before this body. The key question for the county is how to fund schools and the government without increasing taxes. So development projects like ours are a good way to do that. Shutting down development of all these things and generally leads to either less services or higher taxes. The state is pushing for local income tax to fill the gaps created by the Senate Bill 1. So essentially, there was a slashing of business personal property, so businesses got their property taxes cut, and now what's going to happen is everybody who lives in the community is going to have their income taxes raised, or just get by with less. I think it's well known that Commissioner Beck is for budget cuts to the schools. We're already losing some of the best teachers to Hendricks County. I just talked to one today that wouldn't work here because it was 20 grand more to work at Avon. So I think it's important that we look for opportunities to be able to improve our schools. And certainly this revised application and what we're going to put forward in some of our supplemental materials for Cloverdale will give them the opportunity for their school and community to do that and to have a really bright future down there in Cloverdale. And maybe to address a little bit about mining, we handled that in the commitments. We committed not to mine. So that's a fairly straightforward thing. But we do agree that it would be better if it was just solar and not natural resources. So it was just one thing at a time, because that caused us some pain in the butt too. But appreciate that, the time.
Robert Mann, do you want to speak? Chris Mann? Susan Hacker?
I'm Susan Hacker. I live on 1000 South in Cloverdale. I did not come prepared to speak, but I do want you to know that I do support redoing the UDO. I think you all know how I feel about what went down at the fairgrounds, and I very much appreciate every one of you for supporting us.
Tony Hacker?
Tony Hacker, Cloverdale. I didn't come prepared with a speech either, and I'm just going to restate what my wife said, that we appreciate your supporting the community and our desires not to have to deal with this. As far as the UDO and the modifications that Commissioner Peck is proposing that we take the moratorium to do, I think those are necessary. What we have in our current UDO is essentially the state's minimum, and I don't think that's quite sufficient, as we pretty well clearly saw, I think, the last couple of months. So I'm asking you to please go ahead and put this moratorium in place, take the necessary steps so that the community doesn't have to go through this again. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Andy Fiddler? No. Laura Paul?
Lori Paul.
I live on 1000 South as well, and I just want to say that I'm in support of you redoing the UDO as well. It is something that definitely needs to be addressed. Thanks.
Brian, Paul? Paula Sharp? Tom, do you want to say anything?
Hi, Tom Homer. I just wanted to clear that up on the moratorium that was passed by the commissioners, knowing that it was going to have to come back to here to you people for the approval of that. I knew at our meeting that we turned this down back at the fairgrounds that Lisa said they had 6 months to come back. I knew that was within the 6 months, so right now I would just say forget the moratorium on it for the year. I do not want the state to come in and take over because their Secretary of Energy has already said that they will do that.
That's everyone that signed. That's everyone that signed in. Sorry.
Anybody else?
I've got a question. Are we still open the floor? Or? This is a question. If we want to rezone, the solar's going to happen, and we want to rezone that to industrial, can we still farm on industrial?
The way the current UDO says, no.
Right.
That means no sheep grazing. It'd just be solar.
Right. So if they had to rezone a certain area, and then the panels would be restricted, because of setbacks and everything, because we have to rezone per parcel, or we have to be divided, then that other industrial, you cannot farm.
Correct.
Broken weeds.
Correct.
I need to close the public hearing. Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Comments from the commission?
Just want to verify that the Russellville and Cloverdale were both denied underneath the current UDO.
No,
No.
the Russellville, well, it may have been the second.
Russellville, the first time Russellville came through, it was not under the current UDO, it was under the previous UDO. When that was denied, they waited until the UDO was passed, they resubmitted under the new UDO. So Russellville and Cloverdale solar projects were both under the new UDO, yes.
And both those had major opposition from the general public, correct?
Yes.
Yes, they had opposition from the public, yes.
So Lisa, let me clarify. So on the Russellville one, it was approved by commissioners, approved by the county council, the BZA denied it.
The council approved the economic development plan, the road use agreement, decommissioning plan. The commissioners and council approved those three things. BZA denied it as a special exception. It came before the Plan Commission. The Plan Commission recommended denial to the commissioners. It went to the commissioners. Commissioners then denied the rezone.
This is hard.
Yeah,
right?
so,
This is hard.
Yeah, so they would still have to do the economic development, the recommission, like all of those
Right.
things would still have to happen too, yeah.
so the moratorium is different than revisiting the UDO. It's not one and the same.
No, it's not one and the same. A moratorium says you cannot apply for any rezonings for solar, wind, or whatever you put in that
Yeah, right.
blanket, yeah.
But it's not
Updating the UDO can be done at any time. You don't need a moratorium to do that.
Right, which we kind of agree that really needs to be done anyway, just because of other things that's come up and,
Yeah, there's some tweaks that need to happen, yeah.
and we knew that would happen.
It's a living document. We're going to have things that are going to come up that we're going to need to update, fix, correct.
That's why it's designed the way it
Not
was, so we
just,
could do that.
yeah, not just spelling and grammatical things that I'm finding too, but there's more to it.
And it's designed in such a way that we don't have to hire the firm to update again, we can update it in Putnam County ourselves.
It depends on how in-depth you want to go. If we're talking about changing a whole section, I highly recommend hiring that company back. We have the money that we can do that without having to get grants or anything like that.
Yeah, because the problem we had before,
Yeah.
we kind of piecemeal it, you know,
Yeah.
we're leaving something out.
Yeah, we don't want to piecemeal.
We need to hire experts. in
We
order
need to
do
hire
it, cuss all
experts.
over the list.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we need that steering committee
Yeah.
of people too, yeah.
And so would we get a committee together and kind of outline what we want and then bring them in to polish it up?
Yeah, because
for
what they
final?
did is they looked at all of the Indiana codes and made sure that our UDO was in line with those codes, especially when it came to solar and wind.
The application that was submitted today, that can still be heard in December or whenever, right?
Yes.
It made the deadline.
Yes.
So moratorium, UDO, whatever, that's all before that.
Yes.
Yeah, because like Tom was saying, I feel too that the state's gonna come in eventually, and then the county will have no say in it. You know, we don't want solar, but, you know, and this closed cell, fuel cell nuclear seems like it's harmless, but, you know, we start researching that, we're gonna find things in there that, you know, is gonna spin our head off our shoulders, so we're not gonna be after that either. So we gotta get on top of it. And in Jim Beard's newsletter that he sent out, he's all for it. I guess there's gonna be a place in Indiana somewhere, they wouldn't say where, that's already, you know, how I read it, is already gonna be happening.
Briefly, I skimmed past it, I
Yeah.
remember.
Do you agree, Zach?
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's what I think that I'm hearing from some. This is just the way my brain works, okay? From a teacher standpoint, you do something and then you have a lot of people coming and saying, hold on, when the UDO was written, we didn't think that it was gonna be this, right? So if you have that many, then do we need to go back and look at the UDO for those areas? Not necessarily for all of it, but for those areas, so that people who maybe didn't understand what was that portion of it when the UDO was being written and revised for that maybe now that there's been more research done, that we can come back and change the UDO to meet the concerns of all the citizens, right? But I'll tell you, those meetings were intense. They were intense, and emotions run high. I get it. So the energy RE would still be heard. But if we do a moratorium, then that one is still heard, and that gives us a chance to reset and to put into play some of the things that we heard over and over and over again during that meeting.
Yeah, Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the driving forces between the updated UDO is because BZA was hearing case after case after case, and somebody told me if the BZA is hearing that many, it needs to be redone. And that was one of the reasons we redid the UDO, not we, the county that redid the UDO, because BZA was being overwhelmed by case after case after case. And if there's that many people wanting to do something, then that's why we revisited the UDO. Same what you're saying, with the solar, we're doing the same thing. And like you said, we didn't have that issue before because it was never brought up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and now some of those guidelines are very broad, and I think that because they're so broad, that it brings about misunderstanding, mistrust, and you know, that's certainly not something that that anybody in this room wants, right? So, what if we hear the one that was filed, right? Do a moratorium so that we can actually put together a committee that knows now what some specific things are that the general public wants. That definitely came about in my goodness, how many hours did the two, oh, yeah, but that was just one, because then we had the commissioner meeting too. So I guess I'm just looking at what can we do to spend our time wisely, but is spending our time wisely sitting through a 6-hour meeting every time? And then having the commissioners come back for a 4-hour meeting every time? Or do we put a pause, here's the one that's been filed, put a pause, set the parameters for what we really want without so much gray area, and then we can move forward with, you know.
Well, we could move forward with revisiting the UDO without the moratorium. I mean, we could
Correct.
definitely do that.
But then.
But that
if-
doesn't stop nobody else.
Right.
Right, but.
And so if we have all this gray area, right? And then we have, and I know, you know, we've heard that no other companies are looking. You never know what's said behind closed doors, you know, there could be other farms that are talking.
Well, I think the
The
bigger
ones
scale-
that are north, that was just purchased, they could be talking. So what if, I truly believe that we need to put a pause, turn that gray area into black and white area, still hear the one that is newly revised and heavily revised, still be able to hear that one, but then not have to go through those 10+ hours of meetings that we did. So if we put a pause, then we put in a new set of rules, then everybody comes in knowing exactly what to expect.
I may be jumping ahead. Is your thinking, not just yours, but, you know, the 5 up here, are your thinking is, okay, we're gonna redo the UDO and we're gonna say, we're not gonna allow any solar?
No.
Okay.
No.
Any data
can't.
centers?
No.
That's what I'm getting at, we can't do
No.
that. Okay.
No, we can't do that. No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, I just wanna make it clear.
Yeah, no. I'm saying that when I read the UDO, I feel like there's a lot of gray areas, and not just there, you know, but technology changes, right?
Well,
So-
and jokingly, when this is done, you know, I knew we couldn't address everything, because, you know, what if the UFO wants to land in Putnam County? Well, you can't do that because it's not in the UDO. Same thing with the solar. We didn't know this was coming about.
Right,
Yes.
right. But now that we do,
Yeah.
then maybe some of those gray areas need to be tightened up a bit. And I don't know, I guess, once again, from a teacher standpoint, I don't like a moving rubric. So I want to make that rubric the way that the county wants it to be, and then allow more plans to come in that fall within that rubric. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
So, and then as far as the timeline, according to this, the UDO was adopted November 20th, 2023. So we're 10 days shy of
2 years.
2 years,
Yeah.
and we've already had 2
Mhm.
submitted underneath this UDO.
Mhm. That's why it needs to be revisited, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they were more in kind
potential
in their
moratorium.
setbacks.
Mhm.
What's that, Andy?
When they presented it the first time, they were more in kind in their setbacks. They didn't have to, they could have said, we want it from road to road and from
Right,
wood
right.
tree and
Absolutely,
everything.
yeah.
But, you know,
And that's appreciated, because I really do believe that everybody wants what's best for the whole community. I truly believe that in my heart.
but when we talk about school tax and stuff, you know, they do collect 69% of all of our tax money from this county anyway. And people think the schools need more. Well, I think some of the schools need to start spending their money wisely on education instead of other things.
No, I agree.
So I voiced my opinion on that. So don't bring up because we're gonna give the school a bunch of money. They get what they get. Live within your means. At least I got to. I don't know about some people, but you got to.
Yeah.
happen. Like I said, we've had this for 2 years, and we've had 2 applications, so.
Yeah. And what's your timeline on the moratorium, a year?
Yeah.
Yes.
No more than a year.
No more than,
So what the moratorium would be, because it was moved for a moratorium to look at solar, wind, and data centers. So what would happen during that moratorium is we would have a steering committee, we would have meetings to determine what we want changed in the UDO for those 3 items, for solar, for wind, and for data centers. So what does this county want now? What parameters do we want to put in? We would take that time to set those rules.
But more specifically, it would not allow any new applications after today's date.
No.
It has to go to the
No, it has
commissioners.
to go through
Well,
the
I'm
commissioners.
through the commissioners,
So after
yeah. So after the commissioners meeting, sorry.
Right.
But it's
We-
still
we
allowed
can't-
in the UDO.
Yeah, we can't say absolutely not permitted because that's stricter than state guidelines and we can't be
Yeah.
stricter than state guidelines.
So
That's law.
So moratorium means that companies can't come in and apply for those plans until we redo that portion of the UDO.
So we lift it.
Yeah, and then we can lift the moratorium, and then everybody has a clear set of rules to abide by whenever they want to plan something.
So the people that said no, all this hundreds of people that were at the fairgrounds, they said no, no solar, it doesn't mean anything?
No, I'm not, no, that's not what it is, because I think that this is showing that it truly means something. Because right now, in our UDO, those are the rules that everyone has to abide by whenever these plans are submitted, okay? So there were a lot of things that came up in these meetings that I think weren't thought about because we just didn't know when the UDO was written. So if we do a moratorium, it means that no additional plans can be made until we lift the moratorium. And then during that moratorium, we can go back and we can revise the UDO, so revise those rules to make it for what the public wants. Does that make sense?
But the people said they didn't want.
Right, but we are not allowed to put in a UDO that we can't have solar, that we will not accept solar, that we will not accept this. We can't put that in the UDO.
What is that, is that again?
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't.
The,
UDO?
what is it called?
UDO.
Unified Development Ordinance.
Yeah. They're the rules by which we abide with
What is it called? What is it?
Unified, Unified Development Ordinance. Yeah, so that's a set of rules that the county has adopted for all of these plans that come in for building, homes and for putting in fields and for everything else. So until that's revised, we can't put a lot of those comments in. But is it the state that says that we cannot put in there that we will not allow for solar or for
Right.
wind? So the state says we can't put that in there. But we can put in a set of rules that will take into consideration what the public said during that 5.5 hours.
Provided that those rules and regulations aren't more stringent than what the state
Correct.
says.
This is
Correct.
kind of my hope, is if we revisit the UDO and we make it workable, and then if the state does try to take control, I'm just a pipe dream, they may see, okay, Putnam County's already working with them, we don't have to get involved with Putnam County and force them to do something we don't want to do.
Correct.
So if we're workable, hopefully the state will stay out of Putnam County. And try
Well, I
to-
think if the state takes over, they're not just gonna take over one county, they're gonna take them all over.
Well, I agree that, but if we're more workable, maybe they'll look to.
But those
Owen County,
people
Clay
can be,
County, or
the people
Vigo.
that enforce it can be voted out.
What's that, Andy?
The people that try to enforce it can be voted out.
Yeah.
Yep.
We actually already closed the public hearing, but I'm just saying, it's up to you guys if you want to continue to hear it out.
That's fine, go ahead. I'm just one of five sitting here, so I don't care.
Yeah, that's fine.
You're gonna need to.
Yeah, come up here so we can
Yeah,
get it recorded.
well, too bad, sorry.
None of us are.
All right. My question is he was saying that they put in something today,
Can you hold
right?
it a little bit closer? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so they put something in today. And they voted down a specific area of land when we had the meeting?
Yes.
Okay, and that was voted down? Does that not
No.
stay voted down? So they can just go right back to the same land?
They,
Ask again,
but it has to be
a couple weeks later?
It has to be a drastic change. I have not seen the plans myself, but it's left up to our director to either deny or to accept. And if it's a drastic change in it, they can reapply by law, and we
Okay.
gotta accept it.
Well, my thinking is if this section of land has been voted down, it's voted down.
No, that's not, I mean, I didn't write the law, so that's just the way the law is.
Well, that's just the question I had. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I just want to, it kind of gets back to what I had said during what I had presented. You know, what prevents this from happening again? You know, if you go down the path and you revise the UDO and somebody comes in and meets those regulations and then people are upset, is this going to continue to be the answer of just revising the code? Or is there at some point where you draw a line in the sand and say, okay, this is it, and this is what it's going to be? So I just want to bring that up as like, this could just perpetuate this action. Whereas what I was saying was like, let's talk about it, let's negotiate, let's take it project by project, rather than, because I think we're pretty close to, we're above state regulations now. And so you may go down the exploratory path of looking at the ordinance and figure out that what's in there is more restrictive now than what the state requires. And so, is that right? Did I get that right? No, I didn't. The minimum of what the state requires, excuse me. Okay, but anyway, that was my point.
And I hear that. I truly do. I hear that. I think when we go back and, just my opinion, I think when we look back at when the UDO was written, that there were not a lot of specifics that were put in. And there weren't specifics that were put in because we just didn't know. You know, you don't know what you don't know. And so now that people have seen what a plan really looks like, there may be some things that they want to include. And not every company is gonna wanna work with you. You know, we all know those companies that come in and they're like, and I think, you know, we don't want that, because there are two types. I know that you guys aren't that type, but now that we've had two plans come in and they've gone under the UDO that we currently have, and there aren't a lot of specifics, that now we know what specifics people would like. So maybe we go and we put those specifics in so that companies that want to come and do a plan, they know that this is what everyone really wants.
May I ask a question?
So what would be helpful, Kate, and I know specifically you've done a tremendous amount of research. Do you have some general guidelines and maybe a list of a handful that you'd be willing to say, these are things that we're really interested in seeing in the revisions?
Not right at this moment without going back and looking at my notes, and unfortunately, I don't have those here with me.
Okay, yeah, because that would help us. You know, we just submitted an application. We want to be cognizant and thoughtful,
Right.
which I think when you see that, you will think that we were.
Right, oh, I'm sure, I'm sure. And my statements aren't for your
further comments from the board? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion.
I move to make a motion for a 1-year moratorium on data centers, wind, and solar for 1 year until we meet and change our rulings of the UDO.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Yep.
After the motion. Do these have to be in one motion, or can there be two different motions? One for moratorium and one to revisit the UDO? Or are they hand in hand?
It can be hand in hand.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not an attorney, but
Yeah, right.
That's, the point of the moratorium is so it gives us time to address the UDO though, right?
Yeah, but, you know, I'm kind of thinking, you know, like, we don't know the future, but nothing in the queue or anything. I think we need to revisit the UDO anyway. I'm not sure if we have to do the moratorium, because, you know, another company has seen the passion of the people, in my opinion. They're not gonna come in and say, hey, let's go to Putnam County in June because, you know, we're gonna get hammered. I don't know if that's a real issue. Revisiting UDO, just in working with it every day, there's already things that need to be revisited, so I don't have a problem with that. I don't know if the moratorium is it really necessary.
But is it gonna hurt?
Probably not, yeah, probably not. That's why I didn't know if we need to make two motions or one motion.
And to me, when I look at it, I'm like, oh, they applied a moratorium. That means that they're looking at that, so we'll have a better picture of what would actually get allowed through.
Yeah.
Should I include it, I know I can't make another motion now, but anyway, after the thought, what about for the SRMs? Is that something that we need to study for our UDO?
What is that? Oh, small.
Reactor.
We can amend it.
Yeah,
you can either amend your motion or,
do another one later.
but if we're going to be looking at the UDO, that could just be something we look at in the UDO. So it doesn't, I mean, your motion specifically is for the moratorium.
Right.
Yeah, because the UDO is just not strictly for solar anyway, it's to revisit the entire UDO.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, the moratorium would be for that specific part.
Yeah, but revisiting UDO is
Yeah,
just.
we can do that whenever.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Well, who knows, next week you may get a thing for somebody to submit an SRM,
You're right,
Yeah,
yeah.
so.
and we have no restrictions or anything on that.
But it's not
But
listed.
It's not listed in the UDO, therefore it is prohibited
Yeah.
unless they petition the Board of Zoning Appeals to say that it is a similar use to something that is listed.
Okay.
And would you think, I mean, energy, it's all, in my opinion, all falls under energy. So, you would think it would be, a permitted use. That's in my opinion.
It's a case by case.
Yeah, right.
So do you wanna add it on or no?
I think we need to amend it so we can talk about it in the and have it in the UDO.
I move to amend the motion by adding on, what's their acronyms?
SRMs,
SR,
SMR.
by adding in SMRs.
Small nuclear,
Yes.
it's close fuel cell nuclear. So what I've read, we don't need to go into this, but you're recapturing the waste and reburning or whatever, so there's very little waste, so the new technology is reusing that uranium or whatever.
So I have an amendment.
She has an amendment.
Do you wanna second it or does it wanna die?
I'll second it.
Susan seconded that we.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Do a roll call vote?
Okay. Kate,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
James.
You remember me this time? Yes.
So all in favor of the amendment, moratorium, sorry, I can't say that word. It's 5-0, so
So
it
it will go
passed.
to the
It
commissioners.
will
on
go to
that.
the commissioners.
That was
It-
just for the amendment.
Oh, that was just for the amendment?
That was
Yes.
just
Oh,
for the
I'm sorry.
amendment to add in
Okay,
Yeah.
nuclear.
okay,
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
that was just for the amendment.
Sorry,
So now-
my misunderstanding.
It's okay,
Now it's for
yeah,
the moratorium.
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
How long is the moratorium?
No
1 year.
longer than a year.
I'll just do all in favor of the moratorium, of the motion for the moratorium,
The amended motion.
the amended motion.
Do we need to do a roll call or?
I would.
Yeah.
Okay.
So restate the amended motion.
So the motion is that there be put in place a moratorium on applications for wind, solar, data centers, and SMRs. Did I say that?
For 1 year.
For 1 year.
And that includes revisiting UDO.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
we can do that.
We can do that without the moratorium, but
Yeah.
yes. Okay. Okay, Kate,
Yes,
Andy,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
James.
Yes.
So again, all in favor. Now, this will go to the commissioners for final approval on November 17th.
Okay. Let's see. Any other business, Lisa?
I
There's
got
nothing
one,
listed, but
unless you, go ahead, if you got some.
I got nothing except I'm going on vacation. I won't be back until December 8th.
I just got one for everybody to think about before our next meeting in December. I've had a couple of people contact me, and they want to know what I thought, and I don't care, but, they'd like to see the meetings moved to Tuesday nights instead of Monday nights. So, I mean, that's.
Tuesday nights is when they have this meeting booked for the pro bono courts.
Okay, I'm just bringing it up.
And council's the third
Monday.
Monday, so, or Tuesday, council's third Tuesday.
Should we address it again, that the application that was submitted today is still gonna be heard in December? Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Just let everybody know.
Then, that brings up to me, are we gonna meet on it here, or?
right, yeah.
We do need to figure that out. I don't think we need to go to the fairgrounds because if you review the streaming, 5 separate streams. Every time the internet went out, it went out for half an hour at a time. Then it came back on. You lost that half hour of that. The streaming there at the fairgrounds is not that great.
I agree.
I think we need, if we're gonna move it somewhere else, we need to move it somewhere that has better streaming services.
Well, my opinion on it is, which there won't be enough room in here to hear it again. I'm sure we all agree on that. Then I think maybe that we need to find a location in Cloverdale. Whether we can use the school, or if we need to check on that, or whatever. That's just my opinion. Because when you had the meeting last fall for the anhydrous plant, you know, we had one person pass out and hit the floor because we was, I don't know, it was packed in here, so anyway. So what are your guys' thoughts on where we're gonna meet at?
I think,
It can't be in here.
no, Cloverdale High School or middle school, I think would be a good.
Yeah, I think
spot.
we probably wanna go to middle school because we don't know what basketball,
Right.
practices, stuff like that. Middle school cafeteria,
guess the,
Probably the best.
the bigger question is everybody gonna be here on December 8th would be the first question. Make sure that when Lisa calls us that morning, are you?
So
coming
there's
in
also a
tonight?
BZA meeting that night. I've already got two, there is 2 items on the BZA agenda and 2 items on the Plan Commission agenda.
Let's move it
So
to the 15th.
if you want to, okay, so also keep this in mind.
Everybody else probably thinks I'm good.
December 8th, I will be here.
The high school is out on December 8th in Cloverdale. The gym will already be booked.
I won't be here any other day in December. December 8th, I will be here. I will not be here any other day except for the week before Christmas.
Can we not have the BZA meeting at the same location as the Plan Commission?
We can, we just need to keep that in mind because they meet at 6:30, which means our meeting would have to stop so that they could pick up.
Okay.
And they already have 2 items on the agenda as well. Nobody's going to want to stop that meeting
Right.
an hour and a half in. Starts at 5:30, BZA, or an hour, you're right, sorry.
You're ready on vacation.
Which they're also sitting outside waiting to come in too, because they have a meeting tonight as well.
Well, do we need to pick, we can't pick a place right now anyway, because we don't.
No, I gotta check, I gotta check
Check.
and see, yeah. We gotta see if it's available but we also need a date before we can even check and see if it's available on that date. That was the reason why we couldn't get the school last time, was because we couldn't give them a date.
So the 8th is the only time you're available in December?
Gonna be in Arizona, yeah.
Does this need to go move to January then?
We could.
We can't. I don't think that we can.
You can continue it, I mean, they met the deadline that it's up to. Y'all. I don't know. Jim's not here, I can't ask the legal questions too.
So the January meeting would be the 12th, regular schedule.
How's it, the way it's currently set?
It's fine with me.
January, because the rec basketball, I believe, would have the high school gym already booked, according to what I have on my schedule,
But the middle school,
maybe.
we could even do cafetorium,
I think that'd be the better option.
the cafetorium, yeah,
Middle school.
or middle school, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, wrestling has used it, winter drumline has used it, you know, stuff like that, but, you know, I think that's the better option.
We want to try to keep it the 8th, or,
That puts a lot of pressure on Lisa just being back one day and, you know,
Well, then let's go January 12th. That's just my opinion.
see if we can get,
I'd say it's a tentative date, we gotta you know, see if we can,
I can check on for both dates,
yeah.
for December 8th and the 12th of January, to see if those are available and then get back with you guys. Okay.
Lisa, is there any procedural thing that has to happen to continue with this group? If we're gonna move it to January? Do they have to vote on continuing?
trouble if they don't hear it in December and we push it back to January, you know?
No.
No, and I'm not answering legal questions.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to say something wrong, so. I will check with the Cloverdale Middle School to see if we can use their gym December 8th and/or the 12th, and get back with you guys and go from there.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second
Okay.
to adjourn.
Meeting is adjourned at whatever time it is. 6:42. Did I hit done or pause?